You guys are standing, and today I'm going to be comparing the iPhone 5S, which I have right here, and the iPhone SE, which I have right here in this beautiful white colorway. That's my grandma's iPhone. She let me use it for this. Really good. I'm going to be comparing these and seeing which one is better, which one should you upgrade, because the iPhone SE is a budget iPhone, so it's for about $400 for 64 gigabytes, and I'm going to be seeing if you have an iPhone 5S. If you have one, you definitely upgrade to this. But yeah, I'm going to be testing these out and seeing which one is better. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first of all, I'm going to start with the iPhone SE specs really quickly. If you want to skip this, I'll have timestamps in the description below if you want to go check that out. So I'm going to do that. Also, I'm going to do other stuff too. So here are the specs for the iPhone SE. So here is the actual thing for the iPhone SE. It has a Retina HD display, LCD, IPS LCD thing. It has 4.7 inches big, which is pretty big. It's pretty small for today's standards. Today's standards are like 5.5 inches, which is actually kind of small too. If you actually think about it by today's standards, and regular phones are like 6.1 inches. Other than that, but still pretty good. It has True Tone display, P3 white color gamut, which enables True Tone, which is pretty good. 625 nits max brightness, which you can actually tell apart from the iPhone 8, so that's pretty cool. Second generation Touch ID, I can prove it's super fast. It has the A13 Bionic, which is awesome. It has IPX7 water resistant rating, so it means it can handle some water, which is pretty cool. And for the camera, and really quickly, the battery is 1,821 milliamp, which is actually super small. And I'm gonna be doing a comparison between the iPhone SE and the iPhone 8, so you want to stay tuned for that. For the camera, it's 12 megapixels f1.8 aperture. It also has portrait mode, unlike the iPhone 8, which is super good. I'll get to that later. It has image stabilization for video recording. It has a LED True Tone flash, which is super good too. Autofocus on video and regular photo on faces. It has live photo, Smart Share 3, thanks to the A13 Bionic, which I'll talk about later. It supports H.264 video codec, 4K 60 FPS, which is awesome, 1080p 240 FPS in slow motion, quick take video, stereo recording, which records from this one and the speakers too, which is pretty cool. And it has a 7 megapixel front-facing camera, so that is super cool. And it also has 1080p video recording for the front-facing camera too. No slow-mo, sadly, but that would be pretty cool. For the iPhone 5S, you have a 8 megapixel sensor, f2.2 aperture, 1080p 30 FPS, 720p 120 FPS slow-mo, no 4K, nothing like that. 8 megapixels, and also has and the display is 1136 by 645, which is a decent display, 326 pixels per inch, same as the iPhone SE, and which is pretty good. But if you actually look at them side by side, there's actually a big difference here, pretty big difference if you actually look at the screen, so which I'll get into later. This does not have True Tone, it does not have any of those things, which is pretty sad, but still works really good. And it has first generation Touch ID, which is super slow. Well, just unlocked there, but it was pretty slow. The camera is 8 megapixels, as I said before. It's housing the A7 Bionic chip with 1 GB of RAM. The iPhone SE has 2. I have no idea why, or 3, I forgot. And it does not have portrait mode, none of those things. It just have that. So it's decent, but let's break this down into performance and just overall stuff. So I'm gonna start with performance, battery life, camera, and the speakers, and other stuff, and then the conclusion. For the performance, this thing is a no-brainer. So for the iPhone SE here, this thing is housing the A13 Bionic chip, which is inside, which is actually pretty cool. The pricing here starts at $400 for 64 gigabytes, which is pretty good. It's not bad at all. It's still actually a pretty good phone here. And this has it has in 3 colors: white, black, and red. So my grandma went with the white color. It looks pretty sick, super nice. It has like the chamfer edges that we all know in the iPhone, and all of these have black fronts, including the white one, which is pretty sick. So that is pretty cool. And here you have a pretty big difference. So the iPhone SE, the iPhone 5S I meant, has side rails, has like the squared edges, just like the iPhone 12, which is pretty cool. So here, yeah, that we've had this since 2016, amazingly. So it's pretty good. It's a little compact, small phone, so you can definitely reach the corners, no problem. Super easy for small hands. It's awesome. But for the iPhone SE, you gotta reach a little bit higher. For me, this is no problem. I have pretty big hands. The iPhone SE is actually smaller than my hand, so I have pretty big hands. For me, it's no problem. Just reach down easily, no problem. Reach the notification center, super good. And this also has reachability. So what you do is double tap the home button, and there goes reachability, which is pretty good. If you have small hands, if you want to have the top access, you can do that, which is pretty sick. So the performance on the A13 is awesome. This also supports 4K HDR video on YouTube, which is super sick. I'll just show you right now, like on a little video clip. That's how it looks on video clip for the 4K HDR. So pretty cool, not that bad. And also, over the A13 is an absolute beast. Closing apps, really good. Opening them, super fast. Awesomeness, really good. Fast apps, super good. And the iPad Air 3, which I have over here, has the A12 Bionic chip. That thing feels fast. And between those two, I can actually feel this thing feeling much more faster than the iPhone 5S, which is housing the A7 Bionic chip, strangely. So, I'm not strangely, but I mean, so latest chip from Apple back then, A7 is still pretty good. If you have fast internet, this thing will go really fast. But still, you need actually, this thing stutters a little bit. It's also kind of laggy. So just going up here, it's actually pretty laggy still. You can see super pretty laggy, but still, it's a pretty decent phone. And the brightness here is 400 nits, which is terrible. Audio visibility is definitely worse on this. You can, if you compare these side by side, you can definitely see a big difference. But still, the iPhone SE, it comes out on top on the performance here. Since it has the A13 Bionic chip, it is lightning fast. Everything on this chip is super good and smooth. Everything is awesome. Transporting AirDrop, which I do regularly on these iPhone SE. So overall, the iPhone SE wins in performance. What about battery life? Well, let's see. The iPhone 5S has a 1,570 mAh battery. Meanwhile, the iPhone SE has 1,821, same as the iPhone 8, just so you know. So let's start with the iPhone SE here. The battery life is, I want to say bad because it is actually pretty bad. This thing lasts about 3 hours a day because it's old. It's 4 years old. The battery is terrible. My mom's going to upgrade soon, which is awesome, but still, it's not that good. Terrible battery life, just terrible. Just doing just filming video, it loses 30% battery life in 10 minutes. I've actually can prove that. I recorded a 5-minute video clip and it lasts 16%. So now add that times 2 times 5 minutes, which would be 30%, which is pretty bad. So on the iPhone 8 versus the iPhone 5S video, I actually filmed this on the iPhone SE and it took me half an hour because I did lots of takes. And the battery life only went down by 16%. It's 84% now, and it was at 100%. And that's with low power mode on. When I say like the battery life when recording, I have all of these on low power mode. So this thing has pretty battery life awesomeness here. This thing can easily last you 7 hours, 6 hours a day, but still the battery life is pretty small compared to today's standards. So the iPhone 12 has 2,800 mAh, so almost it has 1,000 mAh more, which can make a big difference in battery life. So just want to keep that in mind. And still, this thing is pretty good though. Still amazing battery life here. Both of these phones are pretty good, but the iPhone SE just has to come back on top. Just watching video, doing everything is super nice and smooth thanks to the A13 Bionic chip. And now let's get into one of the most desired parts of the SE and the iPhone 5S, the cameras. I'm sorry for the 5S because it's gonna definitely lose here. I'm gonna post some pics right now. So the iPhone 5S has an 8 megapixel sensor, right? f2.2 aperture. Okay, pretty good, but still not as good as the iPhone SE, which has 12 megapixel sensor, has a camera bump, and has a 6-element lens, unlike the 5-element lens that the iPhone SE has. I'm gonna be taking some photos here, and I'm gonna be posting them so you guys can see how they look. So as you saw, the photos were pretty decent for an 8 megapixel sensor. If you give this thing plenty of light, you will get like 12 megapixel photos. This thing will be amazing. Sharpness will be awesome. But also, just keep in mind that it has a 1.2 megapixel selfie camera, 720p capability. So just keeping that in mind. I'm also going to do a video of you guys and seeing how good it does. So yeah, let's see how it does. So this guys here is the iPhone 5S video test. This is my sister's room. Pretty cool right here. There's a low light test. Pretty good here. Not really ideal, but still a pretty good camera. This does not have autofocus, so it's going to be a little bit hard to focus here. Other than that, still pretty good camera. No handheld stabilization, so this thing does not have image stabilization. So go here. So our Samsung TV box as usual. Except we got Crystal HD, beautiful display. So that is the iPhone 5S video test in pretty good light. Here's in low light, like literally dark. It's pretty bad here, so you see pretty grainy, but still overall pretty good iPhone. So as you saw there, it's decently good. Not the ideal stuff. It's only 1080p, but it still works pretty well. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna deny that. Now, how about the iPhone SE? What can this thing do? Well, let me tell you, this thing also has portrait mode, which is awesome. Let me just take a video of 4K 30 FPS, and let me just show you guys how good it does. Here's 4K video. I'm not gonna lie, this thing looks pretty good. This thing also has autofocusing, so it is pretty cool. Right there, there you go. There's my leg. There's the iPhone 5S, the bad boy. Touch ID super slow. Pretty good though. Battery life is not that good. I gotta say that. Battery life is terrible on this thing, but still, overall, pretty cool stuff right here. There's the iPhone 8 I'm recording on, my little microphone. They attached right here. So pretty cool. So yeah. So as you saw there, the iPhone SE did a pretty good job on the 4K 30 FPS video clip. But how about selfie camera? So I'm gonna take some photos and I'm gonna let you judge how good they are. So as you saw there, those were pretty good. But since this thing has portrait mode and the iPhone 5S does not, I want to see how good the portrait mode is. So let me just test some of these out and I'll show you guys in a few minutes. So as you saw there, those were pretty good photos. The only problem is you actually look at them closely. There's lots of fringing and not that much, and not of as many like the portrait mode. I have it on 2.5s aperture. If you actually look at them closely, you can see that there's a pretty good amount of fringing going on between my ears and the background. So just gotta keep that. There's it looks kind of weird. Like all this blur is software blur, obviously, because it's kind of too noticeable. On a regular camera, you would not have, like a professional camera, let's say a Canon, Sony, you would definitely not have this fringing. But still, as you can see, like my hair is kind of getting blurry as it goes back, which is kind of weird. But still, like you can see like the ear, it's like a little big cutout if you look at them super closely. So, but still, overall quality is still pretty good. Not gonna deny that. So, and also as you have with portrait mode, you can have all your cool stuff, your little cool mono things right there. And also, you cannot take photos of just an object. It'll say it will not detect people. And if you actually watch MKBHD's video of the iPhone SE, he says Apple did not tell him it was the iPhone 8 sensor or a new one. But what I'm guessing is it's the iPhone XR sensor. It's shrinking down into this phone. You know why? Because if you actually think about it, the iPhone XR cannot take portrait photos of regular everyday objects. They can only take photos of people. That's what the iPhone SE does too. So I'm guessing Apple just shrunk it down into an iPhone XR and mini XR, I guess you could call this. Because seriously, it's like it cannot take photos. Like it cannot take portrait mode of just plants. No, it cannot. As you have to be on regular photo, and essentially just not gonna detect people. So yeah, you just gotta learn that. And I think it's an iPhone XR sensor, because you guys, seriously, it's an iPhone XR sensor. And if you actually see an iPhone XR in person, the sensor is quite a bit bigger. I'm gonna say 25% or 15% bigger. This thing, iPhone XR sensor is massive, so gotta keep that in mind. Other than that, the photo is awesome. You get pretty good photos. You get your good sharpness, video. Everything is pretty good on snappy on photos. So in this thing, the iPhone SE definitely wins. And also this thing has race to wake. See? Oh, whoop. There you go. See? It has race to wake. So yeah, it's pretty good. And as for the speakers, the iPhone SE definitely wins. I'm going to be making a comparison between the iPhone SE and the iPhone 8, which I'll talk about later, but the speakers on this thing sounds way more better than the iPhone 5S. Definitely they sound about, I'm going to say 23%, 25% louder, or 30%, because these things sound amazingly good. Yeah, let me just bring the microphone close so you guys can actually hear what I'm doing. This was a past video. So here it is. I saw there, it did pretty good. A little bit, that was full volume, a little bit heavy on the bass, but overall super good. I can actually definitely tell the stereo sound is coming from this little earpiece sensor right here and just over here too. So speakers are great. Now it's time for the iPhone 5S.
Skillshare, which I just completed and dropped my first class in, which is pretty cool. I'll get into more of that at the end of this video. So this year, more than ever, as you can see, clearly the SE wins in this category. It has much better speakers. Just for one more, obviously you can see them side by side. Here's the SE. As you can see, much more. This thing has a little bit more. It sounds louder, but the bass isn't that good. This thing sounds a little bit quieter, not quieter, but a little bit better in terms of how good this is. This one seems a little bit too blown out. From the slow tease of all the specs and features.
As you can see, it's a little bit blown out here.
Maybe OnePlus has finally put it all together. You know, they've always got the high-end specs, but there's a fresh design. And there's
see, so as you can see, the speakers are decent on the iPhone 5S. So both of these are pretty good speakers. The iPhone SE obviously being the clear winner here. Most of this thing is crushing in the iPhone 5S. Not going to deny it at this point. Well, that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching my conclusion, and not conclusion. Thanks for watching my comparison of the iPhone 5S and the iPhone SE. which one do you like better? Should you definitely upgrade? And you should definitely upgrade because it's a budget phone. And just one more quick to notice, this thing will have the longest life of any budget phone because I mean $400, it's gonna have at least a iOS 14 update, so it's gonna be pretty cool. And next video I'm gonna have coming up is iPhone SE versus iPhone 8. It's iPhone SE month, so let's get to it.